Culture. I'm Pio, and today I'm being joined by a recent new contributor on Nifty Culture, EAS. What's going on, Eddie?
What's up, Pio? Great to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, likewise, man. I'm really excited to talk to you. We'll get this link out so we can get it to some of the Discords. But we really wanted to talk to you about, just what you're seeing in the NFT game in the past, like 72 hours, right? Because I think that when you're talking about NFTs, short time frames, because so much changes. To some perspective, it's been exactly 3 weeks. It's been 21 days since the Gutter Cats came out. And that literally feels to me like it was 3 months ago because of the volume of collectibles projects that have come out, the action that's happened in the fine art sector of NFTs with Ferocious being auctioned off, Micah Johnson getting the announcement that his work is going to be auctioned by a major auction house. There's just like a lot going on right now. So I want to hear from your perspective what you think, say, the last 72 hours, the last week has kind of entailed.
Yeah, so a lot's been going on with collectibles. The last week has really brought a lot of thoughts about the market sustainability. I know from Sophisticated Art Speculator, one of your guests, who's got great takes and great insight on the market health. So there's been hesitation like, look, is this healthy? Are these prices sustainable? Not necessarily on everything, but on the high profile collectibles like Bored Ape Yacht Club, Gutter Cats, and a few others related to that. And a little bit with fine art. But the collectibles, as people are wondering, look, these have had huge runs. Bored Ape Yacht Club went over 4 ETH the floor for a little bit, maybe not for that long, but for maybe a few hours during a day. Gutter Cats went up to over 2 ETH for a little bit. So people are wondering, like, is this market healthy? Who's really buying this? Is this coming down? So that's what's kind of going on at this point. At the same time, a lot of new projects are entering the sphere at nonstop pace, and I don't think that's going to stop. That will continue.
Yeah, I think that those are really fair assessments. What do you think about the volume of projects that are coming out in collectibles every single day? What do you think about the sustainability of that, given the data that we have from the bull run and subsequent bubble bursting in March in the fine arts sector of the game? I'd just be curious to know if you think that this is a sustainable sort of setup, and if it's not, how do you think it ends?
I think that it's a 3-part type situation where it's not sustainable for a lot of projects. It is sustainable as a market and an industry. And the sustainability will come from individual project actions. So yes, a lot of the things coming out now are very, suspect. Like, how interested are the developers in actually developing this and staying on full time? Those aren't going to last, right? The quick gimmicks, the quick 1-2 punches of sell out immediately and then not have a development team that's kind of prepared for supporting their project for malicious
Anonymous
reasons or not.
team.
Maybe they're just immature. Anonymous development teams. Yeah, 100%. Some of them will be bad actors in the sense that they're there to release the project and take the ETH and kind of end it there. There's also going to be ones that I'm sure that are just immature, that release their project for good reasons, well-intentioned, but are just unprepared for developing it or won't know how to manage the ETH that comes in to support their project and community. Overall, market-wise, this is like crypto in 2017, where a lot of projects went to crap. Right? They went to zero, essentially. Some of them didn't survive, or some of them survived sort of like zombies, meaning that they never quite really got market respect. Market, people saw them pump and dump, and they're like, look, that thing has not produced anything substantial since then. It's just kind of been there. There's going to be a lot of that. And then there's going to be things like, in my opinion, something like Bored Ape Yacht Club or similar, whose team continues to develop even when the market's down. That is going to sustain NFTs, not only Bored Ape Yacht Club, but there's going to be a bunch of people like Bored Ape Yacht Club who are serious about NFTs that are going to be releasing this week or next week or a month from now, even if the market goes to crap, right? I think even if a lot of the NFT market collectible collapses, right, in the sense that you really can't be selling things over 1 ETH anymore, I think that's okay. It'll just be a really dark period for investors, right? For collectors, unless they're excited about buying a lot of things cheaply. But the projects that are serious will look at that and be unfazed and say, look, NFTs exist. They're here. I'm going to build my project. And those are what is going to survive. I think we're now in a NFT project pickers market as opposed to just knowing about a project and being there first. Now it's like, well, what else news about that project? You know, what do you know about the developers? What do you know about what's behind the scenes?
Sure. The roadmap's incredibly important. One thing that I haven't heard talked about that much, but I think is really, probable is this idea that, maybe this NFTs appreciating and collectors being able to sell their NFTs for a big profit isn't really the way that collectors are going to benefit from their NFTs long term. I think that maybe 0.1%, like if you bought a Beat Bullet drop for $1,000 and then now it's worth X number of $1,000, yeah, sure, that's going to exist. But I think that we need to start thinking about the probability of other avenues coming to light for benefit, whether that's collectibles projects offering roadmaps. For example, a project that we covered this week, we met with the founders of Top Dog Beach Club. They're going to offer in real life parties for holders. That's like kind of a first. We haven't really heard that much about that yet. But also this whole there's opportunity, I think, for staking NFTs, for lending NFTs. And, right now it's kind of hard to think about what exactly that's going to mean. But at the same time, it would probably be pretty hard 3 years ago to explain to somebody that people are going to spend thousands of dollars on JPEG images. So have you heard anything about that? Like any of these other directions that collectors could benefit from their NFTs long term?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything directly about a specific project, but obviously there's plenty of NFT collectors who are highly informed. Shout out to CNIG, shout out to Sophisticated Art Speculators and others who are just highly aware of the movement in the market, as well as plenty of others who off the top of my head, there's just like quite a few that I don't want to start naming like 10 names, but that know that that's really the next step. Like the next step is doing something of monetary rewards or interactive things with the NFT, because Bored Ape Yacht Club is got to a spot, I guess in my opinion, and just even in general, a collectible will get to a spot where it's selling for so much ETH, it's life-changing for people. And to convince them not to sell, not that it's bad. I mean, people should sell and enjoy life-changing money from a new industry and something they believed in. It's a big reward. So it's not like, oh, shame on you, you sold your NFT. But it's just from a neutral perspective that if you expect people to hold their NFTs through like life-changing gains, there needs to be some real substance to support someone holding it besides I like it. That's okay. I mean, yes, that exists, but I don't think that's enough for like 10,000 people to feel that way. CryptoPunks was at a unique place in that it's almost like being early with Bitcoin, right? If you got Bitcoin for $1, you're just up so much that, you could just hold it through ups and downs. But Bored Ape Yacht Club and others are facing that situation where if a floor goes to 10 ETH, there's a lot of people who are going to want to sell, and it's going to attract. Now I think the market has matured to an immature level above being a baby, where there's a lot of speculators flipping these ups and downs movements. And that is creating a lot of volatility that I think the projects establishing something like you said, staking, monetary rewards. I think dividends is the next step. Sophisticated Art Speculator and a project he's involved in to a degree, Anon, has that with one of theirs. One of them gives back 1% of primary sales. But I think the next step is collectible wide. Every NFT gives a dividend. Maybe it's $50, comes out to $50 the whole year. That's the next step. And what you said is staking, more perhaps financial use cases is going to make someone hold it through wild gains.
Yeah, I think that there has to be some sort of incentive to hold, right? Like if you really want them to hold long term, like you said, when there's a thought is like, yeah, if you have a crypto and you got it early because it's now sort of the Bitcoin of NFTs, it's like the store value in the NFT market, so you can hold it through ups and downs. Because even if the floor goes down to like $5,000, you literally got it for free in 2017, right? So that's kind of a different way of looking at it. You were talking a little bit to me off air about the idea of the big companies, the corporations, right? Marvel, Pokemon, these corporations that have a really big footprint in traditional collectibles, and how we all know that they're having the meetings. They've been having the meetings. They're getting ready to just absolutely ape in to the NFT space. What do you think is going to happen when they do arrive?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier with you, I think that now is this beautiful time where there's a lot of real estate in terms of market share and market awareness and organic reach for people like ourselves, people in the NFT communities who are collectors, who are just excited about it. Now is your time to build and do something, because when Pokemon's here and when Marvel is here with a larger footprint, when large entertainment conglomerates are here, they are going to eat your lunch. They're going to take market share. They're going to establish platforms. They're just going to blitz the market with their own product, right? They're just going to absolutely blitz for it because they see money, they smell money, and that's why they're coming. So to get some organic reach before that happens, I think is so important for the grassroots community, because you can define this industry right now. That's what's beautiful. Bored Ape Yacht Club has defined the collectible industry. CryptoPunks, obviously, because Bored Ape, I was CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club, there was a huge wave of derivatives of CryptoPunks, the baby punks, the dinosaur punks, all those punks. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club came, that was still very similar in avatar, but had some slightly new directions. And even the derivative of that, Gutter Cats, became a hit. So I think that's beautiful. I think people shouldn't be concerned right now. Oh, I don't want to do something because it's been done, or it's just a copy, or it's another avatar. It's like, no, you should do this now because Pokemon's going to come and do it. Marvel's going to come and do it. All these big conglomerates are going to come and do it, and they don't give a crap about what you did before. They are going to take all the market share. They're going to the advertising share, the attention share, the people who don't know about NFTs yet, who right now are looking at Bored Ape Yacht Club and others. We need to capitalize on that. And I think that's really important for this community at this point.
Let me ask you one question. What about a school of thought that's more that when those brands like Marvel and Pokemon and all these different collectibles come in, that they actually just bring their fan bases and bring new collectors that weren't in the space before? And what about the idea that the people that have Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and Gutter Cats maybe aren't that interested in a Pokemon NFT? What do you think of that idea?
I agree. Yeah, I think that's fair, and we're at a stage where so many things are untrue, meaning like we're just watching this market unfold. It's anyone's game, really. It's Bored Ape Yacht Club's game to mess up, right? It's their game to just totally blow it out of the park. Same for Gutter Cats, same for these new projects coming up. And the fine art platforms, they're defining this industry by their choices they make. And I agree with you that I think it is going to bring a lot of good attention. So it's not negative, right? Pokemon would be great. I want a Pokemon NFT. I think most people do. But I'm just saying that, like, if you're thinking about doing something, or you're thinking about what's coming next, it's like you want to be there when Pokemon's bringing those new people, so they see you. And I think it's not like going to happen in a day, but I think that when the younger generation, right, the people who are 5 years old now, 10 years old now, they're going to grow into an entertainment industry where NFTs is normal. And for them to accept you, they'll have a much higher expectation of quality, and the cost of acquiring their attention will be much higher from a business perspective of being an NFT project, of getting the 5 and 10-year-olds now who are going to grow up with NFTs. Like we grew up with internet. Okay. There's going to be a generation of people growing up with NFTs and blockchain and crypto that are going to have much higher expectations of what a quality project is that's worth their time.
And do you think that where do you think the first place that they'll be introduced to NFTs are? Do you think that they'll just immediately, be buying them on like a device, like a phone or an iPad or a computer? Do you think that, like, my school of thought is I think they'll be exposed to it with video games. I think that in video games you'll see NFTs. It's just natural, right? Because people already buy skins and stuff in video games. The only difference now will be the skin is minted on the blockchain and it's available in the video game and outside the video game. But can you think of other places that, those kids that you're talking about, the Gen Z and whatever comes after Gen Z, really, where they'll find NFTs for the first time?
Definitely 100% video games. Like the next Fortnite, the next League of Legends, those are going to be including NFTs 100%. And similar type, that's okay. Similar type, maybe not a video game, but like anime, right? Maybe popular animes will funnel into NFTs, or like Rick and Morty will funnel into NFTs, because you have to have the business, not you, but just in general, people need to be aware where we are now is that when the businesses get here, they are going to be thinking in terms of dollar bills, and they're going to be thinking in terms of funneling their consumers into NFTs as another stream of revenue. So I think the amount of NFTs we're going to see in the future is going to be massive. I actually saw, there's a video game under development called Neon. What's it called? Maybe you know it. By Coin Artist. She's developing the game Neon District. It's Neon District, I think, if you bring that up. And so that is including directly NFTs for your characters. So like the whole game is you playing the game and acquiring NFTs to build out your character in the cyberpunk RPG world. And I think there's already NFTs for it on the marketplace as like a pre-launch. And so like maybe you can buy things for a few cents, right? Like a costume for a couple cents, a gun for a couple cents, a character for a couple cents, plus maybe much rarer ones for much higher costs. So the games, I think, are going to start being structured like that. And so I think the amount of NFT content is going to become much cheaper and just much more. You're talking about NFTs for pennies, but at a huge scale.
Exactly. And I think that every step of the way, right, most people don't think like kind of the big picture, right? And so when you start to think that just existing forms of media will have NFTs built in, that's when, to me, the gears really start turning and you start just realizing like, oh, this is just going to be a crazy phenomenon. That doesn't mean that the NFT you bought on Nifty Gateway in like late March is going to ever be worth whatever you paid for it, right? That does not mean that, but it should like show you that the space isn't going anywhere. So I really didn't know about this Neon District. I think this is a very cool idea, and it's in line with what we're talking about with video games. We'll definitely see like, Call of Duty, Fortnite. They'll probably roll out NFTs by the time the next versions of the games come out. We got one question here. What do y'all think of the LaMelo Ball collectible roadmap? So this is an example of an NFT that's being made by a professional athlete, but it's independent of NBA. Like, it's not NBA Top Shot. This is an NBA player launching his own NFT, and we covered it live on here, and I actually bought one myself because I was impressed with the structure of it, and I'm aware that this player generates a lot of hype, LaMelo Ball. So we have a hyped up player with a big fan base, and to me, this is the modern day fan club, and this is what we kind of talked about when we were covering it. And if you look at the incentives that he integrated with the NFT, if you look at this, first of all, he's got the incentives tied to specific stats. So there's like a gamification there that you can bet on him to get points. You can bet on him to get steals, assists. And here it was to win the Rookie of the Year award. There's guaranteed rewards like $150 plus an endorsement deal rewards for this one, $750 plus an endorsement deal rewards for this one. So there's like this really defined roadmap that looks like it was, in my opinion, very well done. I bought one of the blue Neptune pieces, and I'm actually going to pull it up on OpenSea right now because it's appreciating already. And my belief is that his fans haven't gotten to the NFT space and don't know how to set up a MetaMask wallet and maybe aren't already holding ETH. And their whole world is going to be rocked if he can onboard them and get them involved, which if they're a diehard LaMelo Ball fan, I have to imagine that they will be. So have you paid any attention to this drop? Is this something that's been on your radar at all?
Yeah, it was on my radar. I'm not a huge NBA fan, so I wouldn't understand the demand aspect of it. Like I get he's the rookie of the year, and I understand why it should be valuable. I just personally don't follow him, so I wouldn't be able to know, okay, when's a good time to be holding this or not. But I think it's awesome. I also think that there's going to be a lot more of that coming. I agree with you that it's almost like the Top Shot fan situation where only a very small amount of people into NBA are on Top Shot. So I agree that LaMelo's is very similar to Gary V's collectible in that he's giving you real world reasons to own it. He's connecting it to his career. It also made me think of this as like being a shareholder in his career. And I think that's a huge future of NFTs. I think collectibles are going to start shifting in that direction in terms of rewarding people with real either dividends or access, obviously like Bored Ape Yacht Club, or humans like Gary Vee saying, look, you're going to get access to my conferences and other benefits. Now LaMelo saying you're going to get access to my career. I think, right, the higher level versions of those give a chance to win like a one-on-one or something. Is that right?
So I think the higher versions, you chance to win NBA tickets valued up to 5,000, 50% chance to receive autographed memorabilia, exclusive access to scheduled group chats. So you can literally talk to them.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting. The markets are becoming more niche for some of these, right? Because it has to be people who like the NBA and LaMelo Ball. Obviously, there's speculators in there, but there's niche economies for investing in humans, careers, in businesses outside of stock markets. So things are evolving in a very unique way.
For sure. And so we're going to do a little bit more on collectibles, and then I do want to shift to art a little bit. But if I pull up the OpenSea rankings page, there's the kind of the who's who of the hot projects and the not so hot projects that have come up in the past 2 weeks or so. We see Bored Ape Kennel Club there taking the top spot. CryptoPunk's always holding it down. Bored Ape Yacht Club, of course. And then Bulls on the Block. We've got Gutter Cat Gang here. Gary V's still hanging in there. Wicked Craniums is right here. The Wizards that just dropped are right there. When you see all these projects, besides Bored Apes, besides CryptoPunks, let's look at Bulls on the Block, Gutter Cats, the Craniums, the Wizards, Meebits. To you, do any of these stand out as particularly strong or particularly weak?
Bored Ape Yacht Club's 100%. I think Bored Ape Yacht Clubs is currently like the Gucci of collectibles. CryptoPunks is like owning a piece of history and fine art all in one. And, it's like an instant, status symbol of, look, I'm now a shareholder in like the earliest days of crypto. So CryptoPunks is just like, Jay-Z bought one. I think famous people will be buying CryptoPunks, but that's maybe separate from our conversation here, which is I think Bored Ape Yacht Club under CryptoPunks is like a luxury brand of collectibles. It was first, but what they did right is they connected it to a merch shop. They connected it to this club concept and this community that rallied behind the IP and the ape symbol that I think is establishing a very powerful brand. And so Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, I think, is the one to watch. If someone can afford it, that's the one you should be looking at buying. That's something that you want to hold that I think, you mentioned an NFT, the Dogs NFT.
Top Dog.
I think if Bored Ape Yacht Club had like a party where you needed to own a Bored Ape to get into, that would go bananas because the people who own Bored Apes, Snoop Dogg wants one. You're talking about a very small pool of individuals, less than 5,000, which may include a lot of famous people. So if Bored Ape Yacht Club did something like, look, we're having a rooftop party in New York City and only Bored Ape Yacht Club members get access, that would be crazy. Or if they opened a store, like a retail front store, and said only Bored Ape Yacht Club people can come in and buy our merch stop in person and access our bar or something. That's all highly speculative. I'm not saying anyone listening now they're doing that. I'm just saying if a brand like Bored Ape Yacht Club did that, I think the sky's the limit for them. Bulls on the Block and others have a lot more to prove because they just are released. Their devs need to prove themselves. They need to hit items on the roadmap, and the community needs to prove itself. The community needs to show up and say, we're here to develop Bulls on the Block as a community. So those are more speculative in terms of what to expect. I think Gary V, he's been on that list for like a month now since his drop. That's a big story because, I didn't think he'd be able to pull in those numbers. I knew, I like Gary V. I think he was doing the right thing, but I just didn't see people dropping for ETH for like some of his floor creations. And I think that shows that there is demand outside of NFT for the concept of NFT, which is an ownership, of a highly provable piece of ownership and membership of something that is widely respected because of the technology behind it.
Yeah, I mean, how dumb are we for not buying the Gary V NFTs? They floored at a half ETH. And so like what we said that we want to bet against Gary V in a collectibles market. Like I got out of bed that day and I was like, you know what? Gary V is going to finally fail. That was so dumb. Danny, who's on this channel, shout out to Danny. He made a fat sack off of the Gary V. He bought like 5 or 6 of them. He made a whole Bitcoin off of the Gary V from his secondary sales. And sorry, everyone, if I seem distracted, my dog's running amok right now in my room, but we got to keep going. We got to keep talking. So we got a lot of apes in here, and we got the orange DAO coming through. Please in the chat if you guys can help me out, but I'm definitely going to do a specific stream with Sophisticated Art Speculator to try to help me with this. But I passed on the apes, not because I didn't like them. I liked them right. I said, that's cool. The moment I saw it, I saw Slime Sunday change his picture to an ape. I saw Fuck Render change his picture to an ape. The only reason I didn't buy one is because I was like 25K deep into NFTs at that time, aping in a Nifty Gateway, and just watched it go down to like literally like $4,000 in value. And I was like, oh my God, it's just so brutal. So I couldn't like justify. I just couldn't justify spending more money on apes, but I know what ape is like my style. And I think that there's some orange background ones. So when I get an ape, when I get an ape, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this on stream because now the ape community is going to talk and they're going to run the price up for me. But when I get an ape, I want to get a Hawaiian shirt ape, and I have my eyes on a few of them, but the floor is brutal. So the first one that I love is this one at 6 ETH, but there's ones I want more, and the floor gets out of hand. Like I could get this one for 9.9. I mean, this one's crazy with the VR goggles and the sushi headband. I would do that. This guy right here, 10 ETH, but my absolute favorite is without question this guy right here for 18 ETH. And so, or this guy with the hair and the pizza for 20 ETH. And so my question to the ape community, to the orange DAO, to all the apes out there is like, can I possibly get my hands on those for less than like 15 to 20 ETH? Do people do deals like that, or is it just impossible at this point?
For me personally, I would definitely go to their Discord. Someone just mentioned, Lucky One there said he'll DM you. I think that absolutely there's deals to be found privately. You also need to consider for people watching us as well, if you're interested in some of these higher priced things, even CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or Gutter Cats, if you find someone in that Discord, right? There's a Bored Ape Yacht Club Discord, there's a Gutter Cat Discord. You can network with people who own these, and they will enter private sales for you. And at best, right? At best, they'll discount it for a private sale, usually, at least whatever the percentage that OpenSea takes off, right? So OpenSea takes 5%. OpenSea plus Bored Ape Yacht Club, 2.5% each is 5%. So they'll at least drop 5%, at worst. At best, because you're right there and you say, look, I'll buy it from you. You know, they know that they have someone who'll sell it. You can probably negotiate it down even further.
So yeah, Andy here said maybe you can get a small discount, like you said, from a sympathetic ape, but you're also asking about higher end apes. You know, the reason I'm bringing out, why don't you buy 1 or 2 floor apes and trade up? You know, hey, Andy, it's a good idea. I am not sophisticated art speculator. I'm not Nick. And so I am not the wizard of flipping for a profit. And every single time, like I buy Bitcoin for my actual investment. I just buy Bitcoin and I don't sit, and I buy Tesla stock and I don't sell it. Whenever I buy things with the intention to sell, it doesn't work out well for me. These apes are what speaks to me the most. There definitely are others that I could see myself buying. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of putting it out there, putting it out to the ape gods. And I've been saying that I'm going to wait for a market pullback, but it also seems very much so like there won't be one, or if there is, it'll be very mild, because it seems like apes have solidified themselves as like a blue chip NFT across the board. I'm just kicking myself because I could have bought these things for like a half an ETH a month ago. And I was just like looking at OpenSea, seeing that. So Vernicious Khalid over here wrote a thread on our chat, which was very, very good, that I just want to talk about. I want to see if I can understand it. So he said, I'm going to pull this stuff up. Redeemable traits for objects, experience, and membership perks. Redeemable traits facilitate the connection between physical objects and an NFT. Winners of physical objects will have a trait added to their token. They will have the choice to redeem the physical object by signing a transaction and submitting their shipping address, or hold on to the trait. Once the redeemable trait is used, it will disappear from the card. Owners will be able to list and sell their tokens with traits connected on secondary markets like OpenSea. So I'm not sure which project, Vernicious, if you want to say which project you were talking about, that'd be awesome. I'm not sure which project you're talking about, but that sounds like some pretty innovative approaches to NFTs and what potentially could be the future. Like we were talking about, whether it's lending or staking, this is like redeemable traits. What do you think of that thread?
I think there's a future in all these use cases. He's saying this is for LaMelo.
Okay.
I pulled that from LaMelo's Discord. I think it's really dependent on each one. I think yes. But at the same time, I think the real the real novelty of the NFT is the digital aspect. So like fine art, sometimes they tie their NFTs to getting a physical, but as soon as someone gets a physical, it's like unattached. So I think that's limited in terms of the value it provides, except for the initial purchaser, because they basically get a bundle. I think there's greater potential in the NFT being treated as a ticket or a membership token to ongoing projects, events, and maybe monetary rewards. I think that's the biggest thing.
Definitely a good observation there. So let's talk a little bit about art, because we definitely have to acknowledge the artists and like kind of that first bull run within NFTs. What do you think about what's going on with art NFTs right now? Like, where do you think we're at with that right now?
Yeah, we've definitely been at lows. I know that primary sales have been happening, and I think the secondary market has slowed down because there's so much art being released on multiple platforms. Super Rare, Nifty Gateway, and others. Super Rare and Nifty Gateway are the two biggest ones in my mind. There's Blockchain Art Exchange that has some great artists dropping. Shout out to Sasha, who's the head of Blockchain Art Exchange, as well as some others. I think that's maturing to the collectors, the real fine art collectors scene that it's really is intended for. Fine art is not really speculatory in nature because it's extremely, as we've all discovered, coming from March, April, May, how easy the liquidity of people interested in buying a fine art from you can disappear. And you basically are stuck with something you can't sell unless you want to sell for like 90% off from what you purchase. So, and even then, there needs to be someone who wants it. And fine art, unlike collectibles, fine art is very personal. It's very individual. And so in the real world, there's only one. You go to a gallery and there's one piece, and they only need one buyer for one piece that's totally unique. So they can charge $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $13,000, $50,000, $60,000, because the buyer is, first of all, very wealthy. They have $60,000, $40,000, $20,000, $5,000 to buy something with no intention of selling it. People don't go into galleries usually to buy an art and then the next day literally go and sell it. So it's much more individual and personal and intellectual than a speculative market like collectibles, where you have 10,000 people all agreeing with you that, yes, we like Bored at Yacht Club. There's 4,500 of buying pretty much the same thing. We're buying an ape with accessories. I'm not saying that makes it bad. I'm just saying that you have instant psychological, consensus that, yes, we like this and agree that it's cool. With fine art, it's just you, one person, and maybe an environment that says, this is why this art is important and it matters, but it only matters that one person values it. So I think the NFT market is learning that you can't just produce fine art in mass at high prices and expect a secondary market to support that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that that's right. Maybe the secondary market will come back. I just think that now that collectibles are here, the speculators who used to provide liquidity in NFT fine art realized that there's a much faster game in collectibles, and there's a much more reliable game in collectibles for liquidity, right? For buying something and being able to get out of it for whatever reason. Fine art, I see unfolding in NFTs at this point as what fine art has become in the traditional world, which is more personal, more individual, and more, basically those two things, more personal and individual. That being said, it retains all of its beautiful things that we all love NFT fine art with in the first place, which is much more accessible. It's much easier to find people to connect with your art, or to find an artist you connect with and connect with them personally, to connect with them directly in terms of buying art. That's going to remain, and that's going to evolve for sure.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of things that I agree with there. I think that more money will come into the fine art NFT space. I think that a big part of that is NFT displays. For example, we are working on a potential sponsorship with Black Dove, which is an NFT display company. We've met with their CEO. We shot content with them. We think that it's a really good brand. They just did the installations for Ferocious at Christie's in New York. And I think once you see the physical display with the NFT, especially a 3D or a video NFT, it kind of changes your perspective of what you think about the whole space and what you think about the technology. And I think that that'll potentially bring more people in as those come in more and more people's homes. There will be other catalysts that bring more people into the fine art NFT space. And that's what will potentially bring money back in. I'm not saying that the stuff that I bought in March on Nifty Gateway will ever be worth what I paid for it. But some of the stuff like, Micah Johnson, for example, right? The Aku character that he just made got commissioned for a movie. So if that movie does well, then I have to imagine, even though there's 1,000 or 1,400 of them, that there's only 1,400 in the world, right? There's 10,000 Bored Apes. There's 1,400 of chapter 1 of the Aku series, Genesis.001, on Nifty Gateway, but you can pull it and you can put it on OpenSea, right? So these NFTs have not seen their last, they haven't had their last dance, so to speak. And there's definitely something that's going to come back. And I'm sorry, everyone, I'm going to jump off and show you what I've been dealing with this whole time. Everybody, please thank Eddie. Everybody, please thank Eddie for coming on. This dog decided she was going to be totally awake for the first time in a while during a stream. And, it is what it is. She's going to say something on the mic. But, Eddie, hey, I want to do this again with you when I'm not literally distracted the whole time with the dog. Thank you so much for coming. And everybody have a good one. Thank you so much.
Dude, it's all good. That's the cutest dog, too.
Thanks, bro. She hit something on the keyboard and almost made me quit the thing. Look,